Hello, everybody. This is Elisha Keating from wisdomseekers.net. And today we're here with Spiritual Obstructions with Elizabeth. And take it away, Elizabeth, because I'm pretty darn certain I don't have the right name.
Well, today we're talking about peace and acceptance. Right? So when you talk about, the spiritual higher level people who I guess we would consider saints or superhuman beings or people that, we give a head nod to because many of us will never obtain that type of nirvana.
Not this lifetime.
Yeah. Peace is an interesting word that we try to obtain. And along with peace comes acceptance. And acceptance is sort of in our modern evolution, that's not easy for us, right? We don't accept things well. We struggle and fight against and modify and try to change everything. I mean, everything. And if you don't think you're guilty of this, if you think you're a very accepting person, I challenge you to examine that more closely in your life. All right. Because you will find that, even in your everyday life, you try to exert dominance and control in the world around you. So I first started dealing with this in my own personal life just recently. I've always had the concept of it, but a lot of times in spirituality, we get those higher concepts, and we're like, yeah, that's it. That's the amazingness about being spiritual, and I'm so into this and this, that, and the other. But we don't really get it. So it's something I had a connection to, but I just recently began to truly understand. And I think truly understanding peace and acceptance, actually, you have to mature, you have to age. All right. It's just the way it is. I can't hear. Oh, there you are. Okay, I heard you.
Well, the thing is, though, you can be 15 years old and still have that maturity, or you can be 70 and still attaining it.
Right. And I'm 52 and I'm still obtaining it. This is a hard concept to apply into our modern lives. When I started really thinking about it is when I went to see the meteor shower recently. Many of you know I took a spiritual quest up north to go away from the light pollution and see the meteor shower that just recently happened. And I did a lot of soul searching when I wasn't running with my tail between my legs from my own fears, which is a whole funny story I'll tell y'all.
No, but, you're not funny. Fears, they're so debilitating.
They are. And I did it to myself because I go up there to North Louisiana, which is nothing but hills and woods, right? And with the intent of being in the full darkness with no light, right? That's my intent.
God, did you set yourself up?
I so set myself up. And I watched a show because I'm always constantly studying and trying to learn and stuff like that. And this way I can pass that stuff to y'all. So I watched a show on cryptids. And they had talked about they're called night crawlers and hide behinds. All right. And so there's videos.
And Tennessee, isn't that a hotbed of, oh my God,
yes,
scary.
Yeah. And so I'm watching all this. And then, it's time for me to go outside and view the meteors. So I pick up Puppy and we go outside, and I don't want her to run loose because there's coyotes out there, really. And so I'm like sitting there and got my blanket and I turned the lights off. Okay. What you don't know about being in the woods is it's not complete darkness, but it takes your eyes about 20 minutes to kind of adjust so that you can see more. So for about 20 minutes, you're blind. So I turn the lights off and I'm sitting there and I'm getting scared. All right. And I'm listening to the world around me because I've trained myself to do that, and I hear the crickets and the frogs and the night creatures. And the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm holding Puppy, and poor Puppy, I'm holding her going, there's no night crawlers. There's no hide behinds. There's no night crawlers. There's no hide behinds.
But the thing is that it's for you, it's not just a mythology,
No.
they're real.
Yes, I know they're real. I do. I believe in these things truly in my heart of hearts. I've seen things, people. So, like, I'm sitting there, but I'm aware of my surrounding. And I must have been holding Puppy just a little too hard because she nipped me. And so I let her go and she took off barking into the woods. So now I'm freaked out. Right? So I have to like go find Puppy, and I'm walking around and going, Puppy, come here, Puppy, trying not to bring attention to myself, and looked for her for a good 20, 30 minutes while she looked with me.
Yeah,
and I didn't realize it. Yeah. So, but I did get to see the meteors. I spent about 3 days in deep meditation, thinking about some different things. And one of the things that I realized is that for the majority of my life, I struggle. Right? I struggle. There's no peace in my life. I'm constantly struggle. I'm constantly in this sort of white whale Ahab battle, right, with life. When in peace, which is what we preach in spirituality, by the way. So I'm so hypocritical.
Not really, because even in the spirituality, where somebody asked the guy a few days ago, if you're really highly spiritually evolved, do you ever get angry? And the answer is yes, you do.
Oh, absolutely.
So
you absolutely get angry.
It's not true hypocrisy, but it is a little bit invalidating for yourself.
Lovely. Yeah, but I realized as I watched, and the meteors, by the way, were fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better meteor shower to have done this in. But one of the things I realized is you can't make those things happen. Right? There's nothing you can do to make a meteor happen when you want to see it.
No.
Right? It's just going to happen when it happens. And you have to be open and accepting to sitting on the ground or laying on the ground, which I was, by the way. And yeah, I'm not a rough-it person. Okay. You have to be, so you have to be willing and open to doing that, and just looking up and waiting.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
It really is. And so, there were 3 nights where I'm just looking up at the sky. And I had people with me who came to do the same thing. And they would watch for a little while and then they'd go back inside. Right? So the patience was lacking. The commitment was lacking. A lot of times when we seek peace or we seek change in our life, our commitment is lacking because of the struggle that we impose on our life. Right? It's not happening the way we want to, so we're going to go make some adjustments and we're going to create it. We're just going to go do it. We lack the patience of waiting in our culture. Peace.
We have expectations. We expect it to happen like A, B, C, and D, and it happens A, Z, D.
Right.
And people are going, but it didn't happen. But then you go back and look, and it did happen. It's just
Yes.
happened in a way you didn't expect. So it also caused consternation.
Right. And we also miss our answers. We miss our answers
Um,
by trying to
unless,
grasp our answers.
yeah, because unless you've got somebody to say, okay, these were your, and I've noticed this lately, unless you've got somebody who says, okay, this is what you asked for, what happened? And they go, oh my God, it was answered, but it was never answered the way you expected. And quite
Yeah.
often, unfortunately, because we live in a confrontational kind of energy, it wasn't fun.
No, it sometimes is not fun. We talk about in Christianity, we talk about the peace that surpasses understanding, right? This is the peace we're talking about. The ability to exist without struggling, without struggling against it. We also talk about this in Stoicism. Stoicism is a philosophy that says, I cannot change my environment. I can only change how I live in my environment.
And
So
that work, I do find that seems to work better than anything.
it really does.
Mm-hmm.
What I came into the understanding of through this deep spiritual journey that I took, which involved many great adventures, chaos, and
puppy running away.
and puppy adventures that you would not believe. At one point, she took her medicine and she took another dog's medicine.
Oh no!
And and we're out there. There's no vet. There's not even phone services right, to call a vet.
Well, we tried to talk at that time, and it was sort of flippy.
Yeah,
or we tried a message, and it was.
It's a beautiful area, but it's very isolated. Forgot my point of that.
That the growth situations are often called chaos.
They are, and at the same time, our modern our modern way of being, right? Which is not bad, people. I'm not going to tell you to, our modern way of life is evil. It's not. There's adjustments that need to be made, and we can talk about those. But our modern way of life is very comfortable, and I love it, right? I don't want to go out and hunt my food. I like going to Kroger's. Right? I love modern civilization. But it does take away our ability to exist in a moment without the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away our ability to just be able to sit still. Many of us nowadays have trouble just sitting still. And when I say sitting still, I don't mean with your phone. Okay? I don't mean in the interaction of anything else, but it's your ability to just sit for a moment without becoming nervous, with no interaction. This is hard for people. It's very hard to obtain the peace, but you can't have acceptance in life without peace, right? And you can't have peace without acceptance. You have to discipline yourself to begin to just exist. Think about how many times that we try to control the people around us, either knowingly or unknowingly. And I'm horrible about this, y'all. I'm the bossiest person you'll ever meet on the face of the planet. I am in charge of my house, and everyone knows it. Okay. But, realizing this, right? I am struggling with instead of allowing, right? And when we allow, things are so much better for us spiritually. You know, does that mean we get to allow our kids to throw cake at the neighboring table? No, but
Yeah, unless you get to do it with them, right?
that's right. That's right. Unless I started it, you don't do it. But allow that person to exist without your influence is very hard. We like to think that we don't do that to people, right? And we like to think people don't do it to us if we have a healthy, stable relationship, right? But they do naturally. It's just biological evolution. We all do. None of us are innocent. We struggle with each other. We try to control the situation, right?
Because we have a belief that we're right, which is good,
Right.
that we're strong in our belief.
Hmm.
But then we kind of forget that other people believe too.
That's right.
But when you're talking about allowing, and that's a theme I keep going over and over again in the last couple of months. You listen to the words, I work at it. I desire that. I want this. And then you listen to the word allow, and which one's easier?
Yeah.
So allowing is so much easier than working at it.
It really is. It really is. I'm reading an interesting, beautiful book, and I forgot the author, and I hope the author, please forgive me for this. I probably forgot your name. But it's called The Legend of Andrew Rufus. And if you ever, it's sort of along the line of young adult-ish. I'm not sure I would let my young adult read it, but it's along the line of a young adult-ish book. And the theme is this kid, he's about 13 years old, and he gets thrown into Pecos Bill, or the Legend of Pecos. And yeah.
Cool.
So he's now in the body of Pecos, who can do anything. You know, he ropes the moon, he rides tornadoes, and he's living this legend. And he's having to be Pecos Bill, and he is not Pecos Bill.
And he's so scary.
It would be. It's a beautifully written book, because you're like sitting there. I was thinking that's going to be so stupid, and about 2 chapters in, I'm like, okay, what happens next? He's with these larger than life men, that are our embodiment of our concept of what a man is, and he's learning to be a man from these men, and he'll ask them, well, how do you do this? And they'll say, just do. And he's like, that's not an answer. Or he'll ask them about something, and they'll say, it just is. It just is.
And that's actually the answer,
Yeah, it is actually the answer. And many of us don't have that answer. We don't have that answer. We're lacking it in our lives. We don't know how to just be. Right? While we're struggling for the answer to our lives, right? We don't know how to just be. Many of us wake up in the morning with a laundry list of things, of worries that we went to sleep with the night before. Many of us now have lost the ability to just get out of bed and just do. Just do. You just do it. We're so busy asking the question, how? Right? Especially women. I'm right. Right? We'll worry something. We'll worry a worry to death. Right? We'll hit that sucker from every angle, tear it to little bits, and bring it down to its molecular struggle, and then rebuild it, and then look at it again from a different angle. We are natural worriers.
Trying to get people to understand that not thinking is the best way to get an answer.
It is sometimes.
Well, because then you can hear the universe, right? And the universe always has the answer. Maybe not one you like.
My son is very, he practices stoicism a lot, and he is very stoic in even his persona towards the world, you know. You know, and he'll always telling me worry is a waste of energy.
Which is true.
It's very true. And I'm like sitting there panicking. Okay, we got a hurricane in the Gulf. You know, we got to go buy toilet paper. We got to go do this. We got to go do that. And he's like, just kind of, he has this look. And I'm like, react. You know?
You've got to know that look by now, right?
Yeah, I do, but it still frustrates me. And, you know, but it also calms me. Okay, because all the running around is not going to save me. Right? The worry is not going to save me. It's dealing in the moment that I'm living in is what's going to save me. Okay, not being stupid in the moment that I'm existing in is going to save me. A lot of times that same panic is the obstacle. Notice we said this was about spiritual obstacles. I'm getting to it now.
But living is spiritual.
Right. Sometimes that panic and that worry, that's the obstacle keeping you from doing what actually needs to be done. Right? So having peace that surpasses understanding. Okay, we say that in Christianity. Like I said, they have other sayings about it and other followings. But having that peace, that nirvana, the thing where the whole world is falling apart, but you're still okay.
That's a hard concept, though, because most of us live in the past or the future. We don't live now.
We don't.
And
we don't.
So I owe some taxes and I've got this underlying because I don't know how much I owe yet.
Tax season. Oh, I'm dreading tax season because I didn't do my taxes this year.
Oh. Yeah, so you got the same underlying.
Right, because I got 2 years now. 2 years to process.
You should get in there and do it because they will punish you for not doing them. Yeah. At least up here in Canada, they do that.
Oh yeah, there's a penalty.
We didn't do our taxes because we have no money, so you're going to take more money.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I didn't do them wasn't negligent. I believe in paying taxes. I know that sounds strange, but I believe it's our duty with this country. It's our civic duty to help run this country. Now, it's also the civic duty and responsibility of the people that we turn that money over to. And I don't want to get into that because we'll be here all day.
Yes. And they
but,
are,
you know,
but they don't.
But, you know, last year, if y'all remember last year, I didn't get home for 3 or 4 months. And then I was in full swing of recovering and struggling to exist. What many people are going through today. This is the start of their, oh my God, moment today. You know, and so it wasn't intentional. It's just I got to about last week and went, huh. You know,
I forgot.
Oops. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't intentional, but I'm just now getting to where I'm able to like stabilize our finances in a reasonable non emergency type way. It's just the recovery has been so long. Many people are going through that right now, and my heart bleeds for them. But one of the things that I didn't let myself do, right, is I didn't succumb to that panic, right? If we can discipline ourselves not to succumb to the panic, right, and reach for the peace of being in this moment, I'm just going to do it. I don't know how. You know, a lot of times in that book, you know, he would say how, and they just would say, we're just going to. You know,
That's the way I've been in. Personally, I've been in this situation before, and somehow or other, I always pay. I
right?
might be $10 today, 15 tomorrow, but I always pay it.
Yeah, and it will get done.
Yeah,
It will get done. You will just do it. And
but you
many of us,
gotta get to the place where you accept that it's not something worth panicking about.
exactly, we accept the
Government
situation.
that though, hey?
Yeah, we accept it. We accept the situation. We recognize the situation and we accept it, right? It might be excruciatingly overwhelming. I am not going to tell you to sit there in that, you know, in every situation, you're going to be able to obtain this peace, because that's stupid. Life is brutal, it's harsh, it's cruel. There are going to be certain situations where it is going to be extremely difficult to discipline yourself, to live in that moment.
I have a question for you actually, because I've run
Sure.
into a lot of people lately who are ADD or ADHD, and how do people, like, I'm not, so I can actually breathe it in and go, okay, I've done this before, I can survive. How do they deal with that? Have you any clue? I have no clue, honest to God, how to deal with somebody who is can't hear.
Yeah. Medication is always my first thing to go to. No, just, yeah, not funny. I live with, actually living with somebody right now who's very hard. They don't focus. And when they do, they blitz out. You know, there's some damage in the neurological workings. Beautiful person, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, my daughter is ADD.
Yeah,
Classed as. I love her to death. Drives me
right.
insane, but I love her to death.
This is, yeah, this is the glorious, marvelous thing about life. There's more than one way. There's always more than one answer. If you have trouble, which I did, was I was termed ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and a few other things, because I was crazy, and we will not go into that part of my life. But when I started, there's no way I could have sat long enough to watch a meteor shower. Right? I couldn't even sit long enough to watch a commercial, much less a movie. Right? I had to get up, I had to move. There's just certain people who are like this. Luckily, we can obtain peace in motion. Believe it or not, it's possible to obtain peace in motion. So one of the ways that I did this is I started, you know, and this is tragic. I don't suggest anyone do this. I started beading, right? And I started beading.
Oh,
I
beading. Okay,
right,
heard you right.
started beading. And when I started, it wasn't making jewelry, right? Because I didn't have the patience to make jewelry, all right? It was just these long strings where I would just put different beads on these long strings for no reason. And I'd have hundreds of them laying around. Then I'd break them up and do it all over again. But it was my first step to meditation. All right. So my
And
first step, yeah.
one of the it's been proven that people who do the drawings, the mandalas, and paint the mandalas, that it's pretty close to a meditation. That is a meditation. So beading it's very valid.
It is very valid. So is exercise. Exercise is a beautiful form of meditation. You can have meditation in motion because it begins to instill in the person the ability to focus. Okay, so a beautiful discipline for people who have attention deficit disorders is martial arts. And I know what every parent thinking is sitting there thinking, because I thought the same thing with my son. Oh, hell to the no, am I going to teach him how to hit something? you know, but it is, I put him in at a very young age, and it helped him through the process, control his own actions. Meditation through exercise, yoga, Tai Chi, martial arts, running. There's more than one answer. We view meditation and prayer as something that we have to sit there and go, and that's great. It is. I can now do that myself, but there was a time I couldn't. Right? But the discipline has to start somewhere. Can a person who is wired differently obtain peace? Yes, they can. Absolutely. Will it be the type of peace that we understand? No, that's why it's called the peace that surpasses understanding. We don't understand it.
And we don't have to either.
And we don't have to. We don't have to. But the ability to strive for it is a worthy goal for anyone. There's more than one way. There's always more than one way. Don't lock yourself into, I have to go to church and pray for 5 hours to get that spiritual, some people do and they can, but some people can't and they get it a different way.
I find that too with when people are learning how to be mediums, for instance. They think they have to see the physical body. They think they have to hear the physical words. And I say, well, you start out feeling it. And it's really hard to go from, I have to do this, to let's try it this way, and they understand.
Yeah, it is. When I work with the students that I have, and I take on very few students, but when I work with them, I am not working with them from a regulated set.
You can't.
Right? I'm adjusting to what their spiritual needs are. And really, they do all the work. I'm just there guiding them. Right? I'm the guide, sort of like,
And the woman who uses the energy to push them in gently.
Yeah, sometimes gently, sometimes not so gently.
Yeah.
And the teacher-student relationship, you learn to accept. Right? There are some people that will never be able to study under me. Right? I can only take them so far. That's nothing wrong with them, by the way. I've had people come and try to study under me, and about a month in, they're like, bye. And I'm like, bye.
You also have people like Vera who adore you.
Yes. Yeah. Or with me forever. And we remain friends long past think she doesn't really need me anymore, y'all. She just thinks she does.
Illusion because there's genuine love there.
Yes. So, this is a relationship that develops. There's the way that I do things, not for everybody. Right. And then the way that I do things is not set. There's no set course. I've had people take 2 or 3 lessons and ran with it, and I never saw them again. It changed their life. It was what they were looking for, and they were gone. And every once in a while I get to text, oh, you helped me so much. Not really. You did all the work. They grasp that concept and they're able to move forward, which is a wonderful moment, by the way. It's a wonderful moment. And then, I have the long-term people who, we're going deeply in depth into meticulous spiritual concepts and studies and, learning more, opening more in life. This is a beautiful relationship, but I have to be able to accept. And I have to be able to allow. right? Right? It's a lot of times in the way we teach things, we don't allow the student, right? There's no room for allowance, right?
That's colleges and universities. They don't have that.
Right.
They don't have that bandwidth.
They really don't. Take literature, for instance, right? You cannot get me to say that Wuthering Heights was a good book. I'm sorry. Nothing you say is going to make me think that that's a great story. I know that there's people out there that love it. I know there's literary fans that read it every year. But when you're in college, you got to spit back the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hang on, let's see if there's people on here. Okay. It's just people are they're not commenting anything. They're not asking questions.
Okay. Well, I hope I hope they're watching and enjoying. Yeah, no, we have to allow, right? Allow for growth, allow for change. And sometimes that change is not what we want in another person, right? It's hard to, we say we're great about preaching acceptance in our society, especially in America. It's harder to practice it. Right. And I'm not even talking about between the racial and cultural divides that we imagine that we have going on. And I say imagine, that doesn't mean there's not real issues. There are. I'm not making light of this. But those issues were created by us, and they can darn well be uncreated by us. Right? We are the masters of our environment to an extent. We are co-creators of our life. Back to the point, though, allowing.
Sorry, just along that line, somebody asked me the other day a question, and they wanted to know why so many people were in poverty when they put so much effort into changing that energy. And my answer was because there's people out there who have a stronger mindset than we do that create poverty for us.
Yeah. We definitely create poverty. We create food issues.
Mm-hmm.
We create so many problems that, again, through the struggle of sometimes even trying to solve those problems, we create the problem. So a lot of it, many children starve to death a mile or less away from a food source, not because of poverty, right?
Ego.
Because of prosperity. Our concept of prosperity is tied to money. Okay, so it's not that they don't have a food source, it's that food source is unobtainable to them because of money. All right, and we should do a whole in-depth on this. All right, and we can talk about.
I do think it's time for us to create a different vision of reality where it comes to food, or not food, abundance and have and have nots.
It really is. It's a time for us to, if we don't start soon, we're going to lose the human species. I hate to tell y'all that, but you're living revelations, whether you choose to believe it or not. Global warming, Earth ending by fire. We've created this. We can stop it if we choose to.
But the truth is, we've created it within our thinking, not our thinking. Right. Reflects how. Our actions reflect our thinking. If we can change our thinking, we can change the outcome. And it's super simple if people will figure it out.
Yeah, it is. We just have to stop. And stopping is hard.
Well, we have to learn how to think different or allow ourselves to think different.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to come to a point where we realize we're messing up on a globally conscious level. right? Which means it can't be 99% of us. It's got to be 100 of us that believe this way. We talk about this in the parable of the lost sheep Jesus talks about in the Bible. There's 99 sheep and the shepherd goes off to get that one lost sheep. And everybody's like, he left them to go get one guy. Ain't that stupid? But the reality is he's talking about the amount of energy that we need to change consciousness. Right? We need to start talking about this. We desperately need to stop. All right. We need to stop looking at things so much as us versus them, us versus them, us versus them. This is a method that allows us to be controlled. It's also a method that decimates us as a species. All right. And the struggle to do that doesn't begin broadly outside of our own life. All right. It begins in our own family, with our close friends and family.
It begins at where we watch our parents going, oh, how am I going to pay this bill? What am I going to do?
Right.
And so it becomes, you think it's normal. You think it, for instance, an example would be my mom and dad were married and my mother was 13 years younger than my father. Until I was like 20 years old, I thought that was how it was supposed to be.
Right.
It
right.
never occurred to me that was not a norm.
I go back to buying milk.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Buying milk. I've told this story before. I would throw away gallons and gallons of milk because I was raised when you go to the grocery store, you get bread, milk, and eggs, period. You have not been grocery shopping if you do not have bread, milk, and eggs in that cart. But I'm allergic to milk. But that's what I was taught to do. We have to stop. It took a moment of me stopping and rethinking and say, whoa, wait a minute. All right, did that mean I stopped buying milk? No. I changed how I bought milk. I don't need a gallon. I need a pint. I need just enough to cook my eggs with, maybe bake a cake. We need to stop. We need to have a moment where we as a whole species, and I was hoping that COVID did that for us. COVID gave us a real hard look at what was environmentally possible if we were willing to look at it. Right? There were many places where the earth began to restore itself rather quickly.
Within 3 weeks.
Yes, very quickly.
In the Venice, for instance.
So, it just takes a stopping. Does that mean we don't continue again? No, but when we had that stop, we should have all looked around and said, okay, what can we do differently to increase this benefit of healing? And start doing all changing and allowing change. And this is really hard in America because we're Americans, all right? We ain't got to change. I don't even want to get into it. But allowing change to happen, all right? To allow it to exist, to accept, and to allow, right? Or spiritual principles that we need to be infusing in our lives. As a species, we need to give up greed. Right? As a species, we need to give up our biological drive to separate.
How much is
we
that
just have
biological drive to? We've been trained to do that because before, when we lived in villages, there was a sharing.
Right. There was a sharing within our own community.
Yeah.
Right? A stranger came in, was not sharing. Right? Stranger was met. I'll be out in a minute. I'm working. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, stranger was met with suspicion. Stranger was met with they don't belong. They could hurt us. They bring bad stuff, and we still have that today.
Yeah, and we have that powerfully because people are more afraid now than they were. I mean, the amount of fear I see because of COVID even among people who should be educated about it,
Right.
is I find out I'm a shock sometimes.
Yeah, too. COVID is serious. So's the
It
flu.
really is.
Right.
But
Do you realize
they
that?
react in ways that are over and above how serious it
Right.
is.
You realize that one of my students pointed this out to me. Brilliant woman was talking about how few flu cases they wore because we had instigated COVID regulations. Flu had dropped.
It's
and
actually
flu-
not just because of that.
Yeah.
It's because when there's one illness, another illness doesn't come out. So you will notice as soon as COVID
Yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
goes down, the flu symptoms will rise again.
Well, another reason it went down is we weren't interacting. We weren't
Well,
spreading
yeah,
it.
but I mean, do we really
And
want to keep 6 feet away from each other?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Please don't
It
hug
just-
me.
That's right. Please don't touch me.
Yeah. That
You
I
know,
can understand, but as a
yeah.
general rule, having the mask on so people cannot see our faces,
Right.
it's
We adapt.
it's it is dehumanizing in a way.
Right. Well, we do adapt. We do adapt. I don't agree with all of the mask mandatory. If you're outside, you don't need a mask. People just
No.
don't. If you, but you need to use common sense. We need to use common sense, just like we cover our mouths when we cough. Use common sense. I guarantee you, if you see somebody coughing without covering their mouth before mask mandates, you were nervous. You were upset. Many countries were wearing masks way before the masks mandate in the West started.
Japan wears them
Yeah.
automatically. It's just
Right.
a way of life. If you're not feeling good, you wear a mask.
That's right. And you do it out of courtesy. We shouldn't have to have a law. We shouldn't have to have a social law that says, hey, you're not feeling good, put a mask on. And then we should have judgment for the person who does. Again, acceptance and allowance.
Well, down in Australia, there's a guy who coughed in a elevator, and they have a arrest warrant out for the poor guy. I mean, that's going above and beyond.
Yeah. We got to, again, we always do that, though. We always do that.
Mhm.
You get people way on this side and way on that side, and it's the people that are stuck in the middle who are looking on both sides going, "You people crazy." We always do that, and we stop. And part of that is finding the peace in the moment, right? Accepting the moment that you're living with and dealing with that moment realistically, right? Realistically. What's realistically for me may not be realistically for you, right? We're different people. We live in different environments. It's unrealistic for you to run your air conditioner 24 hours a day with 5 fans on. It's very realistic for me.
We're actually, because it's almost September, we're actually going down to 9 degrees at night. So yeah, it's really not freezing.
So but we need to allow each other the adjustments to our reality. This starts in the home, right? It starts with us as a single individuals, and then we gather that 99, that 100% of consciousness that explodes out into the unconscious communal, I forget what they call it in the dream world.
It's super
right, collective unconscious.
Yeah, collective unconscious.
Sort of, right, that and changes our future as a species. If we don't, which I really got way off topic. I really kind of wanted to manage this more Sorry about that,
sorry,
Josh. You
what's
know
your
about it
name,
now.
Elizabeth?
That's right. But we really have to begin. If we don't, we're in trouble. We're already in trouble. We just don't realize it. Many of us are. I talk to people who are, I'm so blessed to be able to talk to people from wisdom seekers and dreams and visions, and I'm able to talk to my students. They're in a higher conscious willingness to learn, to evolve, to understand. They're grasping to understand everything. But I've also talked to people who are not. Right? The everyday person out on the street. I've been in some horrible places where the mentality is violence, anger, hatred. They even understand love that way. Right? I don't love you if I don't hit you.
Even some of the people who are on this spiritual path, it's really difficult to reach them at certain levels,
right,
because they just don't comprehend.
They don't. And it's not that they're not able to, it's just not they're not there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But we want to.
You have to, that's when my compassion comes out, because I have to be very compassionate, because it's very obvious to me and they can't see it.
And it's really hard. Like, there's many people, even in my own household, because we talked about this at the beginning of the video. I'm a very controlling person. Right? It's really hard for me not just to reach and grab them by the neck and say, don't you understand?
Yes, but they don't understand. There's nothing you can say or do that was going to change it.
They really can't. But we have to. There's a story I tell my students often. It's called the dirty little toppet, which is sort of like a half penny, or the lowest increment of money. And it talks about in accepting what people are able to give in that moment. Right? We may not be dealing with somebody who's at the level that understands, hey, the actions of greed are destroying our world. Okay, they're living from paycheck to paycheck. They're barely making it, and their kids are hungry.
And you have to be in a position where you are sustainable before you can move on to a higher spiritual level.
Right. And you're sitting there and you're telling them that their lifestyle is wrong, is bad, is killing everything, may be true.
But
right?
you've made the point before that it's cheaper to go to McDonald's than it is to make a meal at home.
It is. And that person who's working at McDonald's hopes that you go there so that they can buy the groceries for their table.
Yeah.
This is an ecosystem built on faulty cornerstones.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're looking at this person, while you know what is spiritually true, they may not be in a position to be able to accept it. And I'll give you a good example of this. My lovely, beautiful, wonderful niece was a vegan, and I often thought about killing her. But she's in her spiritual truth, and she is just bombarding me. But she doesn't understand where I'm at. And I'm at the point of struggling just to make sure that my kid gets a hamburger to eat. I'm a single mom, approaching old age with there's just no way I can embrace that lifestyle. I cannot afford it.
Well, not only that, it's not sustainable, even though they think
not for me.
It's not sustainable for the planet, actually.
Right. It's not. I think
they do, but they don't actually truly understand the.
And I actually get what she's saying. She could sustain it. She could sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
She knows. She understands plants. She's able to grow things, but she's talking.
She can.
Yeah.
She can do growth. That's.
She grows all her own food. This is beautiful. Yeah. Right. It's beautiful. But she's talking to an old woman who has diabetes, arthritis, is on medication, and I can't even get grasp mode, people. I'm just saying. So, it's all I can do. I acknowledge she is at a higher place than I am. I do. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, very environmentally in tuned little earth witch that she is. But at the same time, I'm not there. Sometimes we talk to people, they can't get there with us. Right? And this is where this acceptance and allowance comes in. It doesn't mean they can't move in that direction. Right? It doesn't mean we can't move in a spiritual direction, and we need to begin. We really need to begin. But at the same time,
so that's sort of I'm being an advocate here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're a very spiritual woman. You're already
yes, I am.
You're already there. So so in a sense, yes, maybe she is more advanced than you. But I doubt it.
She is more advanced than me. She's also in a different area.
Totally different area.
Right. She's in a completely, she has created her life, done a different life path than I have created mine.
But I doubt she's more advanced than you. If you take your energy and her energy and you
I would wipe her out.
Yeah.
I would wipe her out. That
exactly. So I'm sorry, I'm being an advocate, but I'm not the only one that's going to see this. And they're going to go, I don't follow the I don't follow it.
Yeah. But the thing is she didn't allow for that moment. Right? She didn't allow for the moment. I'm busy. Mom.
It's all right. We all know.
So she didn't allow for the moment, so we didn't allow each other, right? Instead, we banged heads, and then we get the us versus them, right? Really, it's not her versus me, right? We both need to be striving for improvement. We need to accept the situation, right? We can't look at somebody who can't put rice on the table and expect them to go green without giving the ability to put rice on the table.
And also, you need a certain amount of protein, which vegan, you're not going to get that kind of protein.
Yeah.
It's a kind of protein. It's not protein.
It's difficult to manage. I've actually managed it myself one time. Boy, horrible story. Horror time in my life where I ate a lot of sunflower seeds. But
you were diabetic at the time.
Yeah, it's looking at people. A lot of times we look in judgment. We got to stop doing that.
Is it judgment or frustration?
Sometimes it's both, but a lot of times it's judgment. And we look at our own family that way. I just looked at my mom that way. How could you do this to me? She's just trying to help me. And
also, but also too, your mom has has a certain amount of impairing.
Right. And
everybody does understand.
Yeah. Very frustrating. But, a lot of times we get back to the very basics of this conversation. Instead of allowing and accepting, I'm struggling against it. Where it would be so much easier just to accept that this is reality and allow it to exist while I existed.
And that's true. Like, and this is my example, my dog, Cully, he's sick and he's coming to the end of his life. And yesterday I was pretty certain he was at the end of his life. And I was going, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
He's okay today. But yesterday he wasn't.
Grief is
So, it doesn't matter what level you're at. There's still going to be a reaction or emotion involved.
There is. And that's where the word discipline comes in. And that's something that we'll talk about on the next spiritual obstacles. The word discipline.
What, I'm sorry, what time do you have that appointment for?
Pretty much coming up now. So I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
So that's why I said next time we'll talk about discipline.
Well, next week we have that E squared.
Right.
So
What's our topic for that?
I have no idea. I always wing it. I drive you insane.
Yep. Pick a topic and I will be there.
But the thing is, doesn't matter what topic we choose, we're not going to use it anyhow.
No, we never do. We never do. We did pretty good on this one.
Yeah, so we could maybe continue on with this. We can continue on with whatever you just said we were going to continue on a minute ago.
Discipline. Yes, the word discipline. What
Yeah.
that means in our life.
What discipline in the spiritual community, and when to use it and when to let it go.
Right. And you will find out. Yeah,
sometimes
you'll
you
find
gotta
out
let
how.
it go.
Right. You'll find out how undisciplined I am in my life while I'm preaching it to you.
I'm guilty.
So guilty.
But we still manage to do it. And that's the thing,
Yes.
right? We still manage to make life work for us.
That's right.
Even
And
with the owe taxes.
right. And the more we instill the concept of just doing instead of struggling against, right, the more that you will find you are able to accomplish.
Just allowing yourself to be in the moment. It's just
Right.
such an amazing tool.
Right. And just like I be like Pecos Bill in the Legend of Andrew Rufus. Just do. Just do. Don't worry about it.
Just
Yeah.
do,
Or just be.
Yeah, people ask me, what should I do? And I said, just do it. Don't
Just
think about it. Just do it. Don't be in fear. Because it's the fear. That's the fear. That's the secret, right? People go into fear, and then they lose. And I have a question before you go. How many times have you been in fear and then just done it? And when you get the other side, well, you realize the fear was far worse than just doing it.
My entire life.
Exactly. That is exactly it.
I don't, going back to grade school, just trying to take a test, knowing I would fail it and having that worry. And I would study and study and study with that worry on me that I just knew I was going to fail it no matter what I did. I had dyslexia. It was inevitable.
Yeah. And I was exactly the same. I'd study and know it by heart.
Yep.
And then I get like 34%.
Mm-hmm. And the fear actually created the event to some extent. And then living with the results of it. And, I went through that cycle. The fear of dealing with just so many things in my life. The fear of dealing with a hurricane. The fear of dealing with issues in my home. The fear of dealing with the death of my dogs.
Well, that's that one. I don't know if that's a fear or it's, you have to go through a period of mourning, and how you do the mourning is always, that's individual.
This is life. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going to pick up these principles that we talk about and life is going to get easier and you're going to be brilliant and you're going to be marvelous. You're going to be. It doesn't happen that way. Life is brutal. Life is hard. There are going to be things that you face that you would never have believed that you were able to go through, but you will have a better chance of going through them if you do start to pick up these principles.
And I'm going to be an advocate, negative advocate. Life is easier
Yeah.
It's not less brutal, it's not less painful, but because you have that inner, you've already got the inner,
Right.
and you're sitting in your power. That,
I'm
that
pretty sure I'm pretty sure that we can both tell horror stories where that power came through for us.
oh gosh,
Yeah, I've been in situations where people are looking at me, they're like, how can you're a stronger person than I am. Like, no, I've just more,
I've done more.
I've just built that strength within me. I've disciplined it, which is what we'll talk about next week, disciplining it.
Yeah, like I told somebody a couple days ago, and I wasn't thinking of it. It was just a story to me now. I said, "Oh, I lost 30 pounds in 1 month
Right.
because I had no money, and so all the food I had, I gave to my kids to eat." And
Yeah.
the look on their face was pure horror. And it's just a story.
Yeah.
I don't own it anymore. I did it. I'm stronger for it, and that was 20 years
That's right.
ago.
It's the build up. There are people this morning or today that they are walking back to their lives.
Hopefully they get inner strength.
Yeah, and they're facing this.
Mm-hmm. And some of them went through Katrina, so they know they can do it. Some of them are darn tired. They don't want to do it. That's a different thing.
It is a completely different thing. I deal with that this morning. I'm just tired. I just don't want to anymore.
And a majority of light workers are in your position. I'm just tired. I can't.
Yeah, but I still get up and do it. Speaking of that, I talked with you about this earlier, and I hope you don't mind me saying it on the video. For the next week.
Oh, no, not of course.
No. For the next week, if you donate to a disaster relief type thing, that doesn't mean, I know that many of you are in different countries and you have different venues for this, and you send me proof of that donation, I will give you a free 3-card reading. All right, so that's 3 cards for whatever shows up in the cards. And so
if they ask a specific question, will that work as well?
That will work as well. So anywhere, any donation that you can give, right? It doesn't have to be a large donation. Give $5. Like if 10 of us give $5, that's $50. So just a donation somewhere. Like my favorite organizations, of course, are the Red Cross, because in any disaster I've ever been in, that's who've had like the comfort help that I needed. When my whole life was decimated, they were there with a plate of food and a rake. I can't tell you how much that rake meant to me. The Cajun Navy down here, they're already in New Orleans, right?
You should.
They come.
You should tell what that is. Most people don't know what that is.
The Cajun Navy is a group in the South that go into hurricane devastated areas. They're usually the first in. They'll go in with their boats if the area is flooded, and they bring relief, rescue initially. Then they go back in with volunteers with chainsaws and equipment to help people clear out damage. They do things like check on the elderly that were unable to leave in an area. They bring things like batteries. During Hurricane Laura, batteries were prime, right? They're hard to get because all the stores are closed, but you needed them, right? You needed them for emergency equipment or radios and things like that. During the ice storms, they brought in heaters to people. Okay, so
and one thing that's really
sort of a.
It's that they go in and they're fearless.
They are completely fearless and risk their own lives in a lot of situations. A lot of times they are there, as soon as the event ends, or oftentimes while the event is happening. They're special, they require a special set of skills for you to do that. You can volunteer for them. They're very formidable group in this area. They don't just work.
A lot of them Cajun.
Yes, that's why they're called the Cajun Navy.
But that, and I guess what I'm trying to say is being from the Cajun South,
Right.
you're a different kind of human being, right?
They're a different kind of risk taker. Yes, they are. They are. They work tirelessly. Some of my favorite pictures of them are when they've come in after a 20-hour day. There's one, and he just throws himself down. He's dirty, he's filthy, and his dog's sleeping with him because they bring their dogs with them. And you know, it's just a beautiful group of people. If you can volunteer for the Cajun Navies, I can't because physically, I can't. If you volunteer and you have a picture, I'll give you 2 readings for free, and one of them will be the formidable general reading, old school gypsy style, if you physically volunteer for something. So get me a picture. All right. But if you're going to donate money, donate blood, send me proof. I'll give you a three card reading. If you don't want the reading, some people are uncomfortable with readings, go ahead and brag about it on my page. I donated. Inspire other people to donate.
Or donate it to somebody else, like a grandma or an aunt or a sister that would love it.
Absolutely. Yes. So like this is just to kind of help get the ball rolling. I'm going to be doing this for the next week. I wish I could afford to do it the whole month, but I can't. I got to dog food or puppy will eat me. So,
puppy is ferocious.
Yes, she is. But for the next week, all right, and you can get in touch with me through my email, through Wisdom Seekers, through Messenger. You can private message me on Facebook.
And we can figure out who she is, how to get hold of her. You can get hold of me and I will pass it along.
That's right. And so just a donation. It does not have to be to an American thing. There are other issues going on in other countries. For instance, they just had earthquakes in Haiti. I believe it was Haiti.
It was Haiti.
We've had forest.
7.
Yeah, we've had forest fires in Canada, which I know wiped out an entire town in less than an hour. Those people are homeless now. Yes, it was very scary. Those people are, when things like this happen, what people don't understand is it doesn't get fixed the next day.
Mm-mm.
For some of these people, it's years later. I'm still recovering from Hurricane Laura. I'm still.
There's one guy got out, he had no shirt, but he got his dogs.
He got his dogs, and that was what important. I saw that.
And even when they were driving out, there was flames on each side.
It was insane. I was like sitting there praying for those people so hard. Y'all have no idea. It was like watching a horrible movie. I was just literally sitting there. And again, Puppy ran away from me because she's not a stuffed animal. And she has informed me of this.
Please don't squeeze me so hard.
But yeah, no. So if you donate to that, in your own country or in your own area, I'm still going to accept that. I'm going to accept that. I don't think that just, this is our world now. We have to help each other. These events are only going to become more. They're not going to become less. Global warming is real. Sorry, people.
We're in something called the fourth turning. And the fourth turning, the last fourth turning was the Second World War.
Right.
It's always kind of devastating.
Yeah.
But the good news is it ends on 2028.
If we can make it that long.
Make it that long. I'm not sure about that.
I'm not either. I'm actually considering moving out of this area. I have been for a long time, since Hurricane Harvey.
Is the ocean to you now after Hurricane Ida?
Well, Ida's to the east, and they have a lot more land management over there. Okay.
But I know you were 100 miles from the coast, and now you're like 30 miles from
33 miles.
So
we will be beachfront. We'll be beachfront property pretty soon.
So I was wondering, the Ida, because of the surge, would have gone more than 600 kilometers or miles, pardon me.
We had Hurricane Laura, which is the most famous one, but we also had, I think it was Delta that hit us as well, right after Hurricane Laura. And the storm surge actually totally saturated my property.
It took
the ground was
the water to moisture to go.
It
But
really
you
did.
lost trees and everything through that.
Really did. And what was really annoying is I had just cleared out all of the pathways to get to my house from Hurricane Laura. And we still hadn't had cut trees down, but we had cleared debris. And Delta brought it all back and more. So I had to start all over again. I don't even want to talk about, those were one of my where I lost my spirituality for about an hour. And but yeah, the ground was so spongy to walk on. You're literally in ankle deep mud in some places where I was walking in my yard from the storm surge that had come in and gone out. So I am hoping that I can get to a point, which will be rely a lot on y'all buying my readings, by the way, where I can move further north is what I'm hoping within the next few years or so. So I don't have to evacuate every time. Yeah.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
And she
Yeah,
wants a nice little piece of property because she creates a haven for creatures.
I do. It's going to be really hard to move because there's going to be have to be a lot of live trapping that happens. You know,
Wildlife
because
trapping.
yeah, we gotta bring those with us. You know,
You
I
can
gotta
leave
bring
the
feral.
alligators behind.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of cantankerous, but no, feral will have to come. The porch raccoon will have to come. Oscar will have to come. There's some rabbits that will have to come, and
still have
long
Dwerp?
tail. Huh?
You still have Dwerp, the squirrel?
Yeah. No, actually, Delta. I'm afraid eliminated him.
Okay, I didn't
We
know.
never. Yeah, we never saw him again, unfortunately.
He was
But
really
we will have to.
stories.
He was my. Yeah. Evolution wasn't kind to him. Let's
No.
be honest. It's only a matter of time. Unfortunately, Delta took his tree out, and without his
Without
tree,
his tree, he couldn't survive.
he couldn't survive. But
You're,
yeah, Longtail
sorry,
will have to come.
your young man, your young person might be calling you
Oh
soon.
yeah. Yes, I have to go. And to help some with some schoolwork. Exciting.
That's
Exciting.
that's the future, of course. We want.
That's yes.
But we'll be
Yes.
back next Monday, same time, same place. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you go. So namaste, everybody, and namasko.
Love you guys so much.